camping as a kid, your family likely had one of these. From the company that makes roughing it a little easier, the classic 2-burner Coleman stove always brings back good memories.
You got to go with breakfast. There's nothing better than breakfast on a Coleman stove.
Whether you're sitting by a trout stream and you're there and you're able to cook your fresh trout you just caught, or whether you're at a picnic, I think there's a lot of reasons why this has continued to be a mainstay pretty much over all these years.
The first Coleman stove was developed in the 1920s by a clever inventor named W.C. Coleman. He'd already begun a successful business with his now famous lantern, and the idea for the stove came from a conversation he had one day with his barber.
And the barber said, "Hey, I need something to help keep water hot." And W.C. went back, tinkered a little bit.
He came up with a portable stove that could be heated by liquid fuel. It soon caught on with ranchers and tradesmen. Then, during World War II, the U.S. Army called the company with an urgent request.
We need a stove no bigger than a quart-sized milk bottle. Needs to weigh less than 6 pounds. It basically needs to burn any type of fuel found on the battlefield, and it needs to operate in temperature extremes from minus 60 to plus 125 degrees.
In just 60 days, the Coleman Company came up with the GI Pocket Stove. They made more than 2 million of these, and it was an essential for soldiers.
The soldier valued that GI Pocket Stove for many reasons. In a foxhole, it could give him warmth. It provided him a chance to have a hot meal. Lots of times they would heat water in their helmet shells to shave by. And it became somewhat of the stakes in poker games.
When the war was over, Americans started to explore their own backyard.
Cars became very affordable. The road systems were better than they had ever been before. And Americans began to journey out and see this great country. And people wanted to get out and explore.
This opened a whole new market for Coleman. And the classic 425 2-burner stove, so familiar today, was launched. They're still made in Wichita, Kansas, where it all began nearly 100 years ago. The fuel tank is pressed out of steel in 2 halves. The excess steel is trimmed away, and the pump barrel is inserted.
Then we're going to join that top and bottom together. Wherever there's going to be a joint or 2 pieces of metal come together, we're going to put some copper. It's going to be a copper paste, a copper ring, or a copper rod. We're going to put this into a brazing furnace.
The furnace reaches temperatures of 2100 degrees Fahrenheit. The copper melts, filling the voids, making the tank airtight.
Once out of the oven, it's cooled down, we're going to go ahead and add the check valve to it.
The check valve maintains the pressure inside the tank as you pump it. Then, every tank is tested to ensure it'll be leak-proof under pressure.
The customer can put about 40 pounds of air pressure into that because a real strong thumb. We're bursting these with over 500 pounds of pressure, so we have a pretty good safety rating on that.
And here's the reason you're still likely using your grandfather's stove. The tank is intercoated with a mist of epoxy paint to prevent corrosion.
It allows you to use that tank forever, or for a very long time.
Then they're spray painted using an electromagnetic process.
The paint is positively charged. The parts are negatively charged. So the negative attracts the positive, and it allows us to get a real nice paint coat on those tanks.
In another part of the factory, coils of steel are stamped and bent to make the case, the lid, and parts of the burner. The pieces are crimped and spot welded together to form that famous suitcase-style housing. Then the cases are washed in preparation for painting.
They're going to go through a washer. It's a 5-stage washer, and each one getting cleaner and cleaner before a final rinse. They're going to come out and be dipped into an 8,000-gallon vat of paint.
Then it's into a dryer at 325 degrees Fahrenheit for about a half an hour. Now they're ready for final assembly, where their latches are riveted, hinge brackets and wind baffles are attached, and those famous Band-O-Blue burner rings, introduced in 1929, are assembled and secured in place.
Coleman developed a Band-O-Blue burner, and it's a series of stainless steel rings that go together to make a burner that's non-clogging.
One final check of the valve system, and the stoves are ready to pack, destined to make hot coffee for cold hands. Through the decades, Coleman has come out with more streamlined, modern designs. But as the saying goes, you shouldn't mess with a classic. The Model 425 is still a bestseller today, virtually unchanged from its original design.
There's been some cosmetic changes, but short of that, they basically operate the exact same way.
It's very robust. It's a very, very good product. And I think sometimes when you have something that's just really good, it stays. And that's what it is.